Hi, it's Joanna. We're working on our dancer's tilt today. So for those of you that are not sure, it's like that side leg, basically a side leg lift, like a karate kick, isn't it? Anyway, so we're going to use do a little bit of work on our sort of pancake type of splits, a little bit of inner, like getting your middle split, not a flat, but that pancakey type of movement, but also working on your hip rotation, your balance, and some strengthening for your glutes, so that hopefully you can not just get in position and kick it there, but hold it, because I think that's actually really important, because sometimes we can get in those positions, but we can't hold it. So later on, if you're wanting to do something, even like an Iron X or a tulip or something like that up the pole, this is all going to be really relevant for that also. Okay, so let's do a quick little warm up, mostly for hips. We'll do a little bit of a full body warm up anyway, even for those that were already warm. So just jump up, and you don't need a pole. Just start with some hip circles. And as we go through all of this, for those of you that are live with me, if you do have any questions or concerns, quick little questions are fine, but we just keep the class moving as much as we can. All right, so just circling. You can have your legs bent to start with, so you really get this side tuck, side and back. So we're circling from the waist, starting to use your obliques, so your waist muscles, and then back the other way. I feel like I need some music on, but it always mucks up the recording, the Zoom. Okay, and then let's do it with straight legs. So see if you can get that movement without your legs bending. So just really moving through the hips. As your legs come forward, don't push from your tummy. Really squeeze your glutes so you get a stretch through the front of your hips. And starting to breathe is probably a good idea too. Being aware of your breath. Okay, so what we're going to do is do a little bit of a squat, but I want to do it with the toes turned out. Make sure that you're turning from your thighs, so your knees point over your toes. So just bring the arms out to the side, and we're just going to swing your arms and start to breathe, just to loosen up through the hips. See if you can go straight down, so we're not sticking our butts out this way, and we're just going to try and release through the hips first. Just a small one to start with. Try and feel a little bit relaxed, but thinking of your knees reaching out over your toes. And up, and down, and up. And as you start to feel a little bit warmer through the hips, you can start to make it a little bit bigger. And then we'll hold the arms out to the side, and just bending your knees, and just stay in that position. And think of your knees going out over your toes. And what we're going to do is going to take, I hope you can see me with my Ugg boots on, and we're going to turn one knee in and then out. So my hip is staying still, my thigh is turning, I'm coming on my toes. Yeah, socks are good. And turn and back and turn. So it's like a little dance, but try not to move your body. You can put your hands on your hips if you want to keep them still. And we're just going to turn the thigh in and out. Let your heel come off the floor so you don't twist your knee. You don't wrench your knee. You want to make sure the whole thigh, and see if we can go a little bit faster. And sing. If you ever want to play music in the background, you can use your own music, as long as your mic's off. So that way you can get a little bit of background sound. And a little bit faster. And 1, 2, let's do 3, 4, make it 4 more, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Give your legs a little shake out. Alright, so if you have a pole or a wall, if you don't have a pole, you can grab hold of your wall or your table or whatever you need. And I'm just going to change my camera a little. Jump over to this one over here. Okay, so what I want you to do is start holding onto the pole or the wall or the chair, whatever you're using, and make sure this standing leg is really straight. And we're just going to take this leg, lift the foot up to your knee. So bend your leg, sorry. Yep, can you see that there? All right, and then I'm just going to turn my knee out to the side and then back to the front. So we're just going to do this for, let's do 10. So we'll go turn, and I'm going to squeeze from my glutes. So my hip rotators are in my butt, I'm in my glute there. And turn. And think of your thigh like a gate, open, and keep the foot touching your knee if you can. and in, or your calf if you're touching your leg, it's just the thigh bone turning. And in, like a little clam, if you've done clams on the floor, we'll do some more of those instead. It's going to be lots of glute work today. And in, and back, and changing to the other side. So you can turn around or whatever you need to do there. And I want you to try and keep your standing legs straight. So one of the important things about our tilt is our supporting leg. So really feel like you lift above the kneecap on your standing leg. And we're just going to go open and close. And open and close. And close. And close. And I lost count. So let's do 4 more. And 3. And 2. And 1. Alright, good. So we're going to come back to my first side. And we're just going to do a little in and out. Circling that knee in and out. Let your hips start to turn now. So we're just going to draw a little figure 8 with the knees. And back. And in. And try and keep the standing legs straight if you can. And we're going to take it a little bit bigger. And we're going to go circle to the back. Circle together. So I'm circling with my knee around to the back. Circle to the front. Drawing a nice big circle around. Lift it a little bit higher if you can. Circle. Let's put the other arm out so that we're working those arms as well. Keep pulling down on the pole. Standing nice and tall. And back. Let's do one more. Take that lunge out there. And now lift your outside arm and have a big stretch over. So my back foot, or actually both my feet are turned out like I was in a V shape. And I'm in that lunge and opening up the hip at the back. And then let's change to the other side. I'm going to move over to this pole here. So let's go in and out. So in and out, in and out, in and out, and in and out. Draw that little figure 8. If you can put your hand on your hip, you can. And just draw that nice big circle down and up and down and up and out. So we're turning that thigh in and out. And we're starting to use those waist muscles as well, your obliques. And let's do the big circle. So we circle to the back, circle, feet together, circle to the back, circle, feet together, circle, and circle. Okay, let's do 2 more. And circle. Give it a little bit of an effort as you do that to get the warmth into the hip joint. And hold it there. And reach up with the outside arm and leaning over. You can grab hold of your pole or your wall there and have a nice big stretch opening up through that back hip. Good. All right, so let's do one more thing standing. One more standing here. Okay, so what we're going to do is with this leg, to get a little bit of focus on this rotation of the thigh, is we're going to do, take the leg to the front, and I'll take off my boots because I think my feet are getting on now. So from here, we're holding the leg out to the front, and you can flex the foot if that helps you to see what your leg is doing, or you can point your toes. But we're going to just turn the thigh bone. So I'm just going to go turn, turn. So I'm going to try and just turn so my thigh bone is just rotating outwards and inwards and outwards and inwards. But it's staying in the same spot. So I'm not moving it out and in. I'm keeping it directly in front of me. So all it's doing is this turning. So I'm trying to turn and in and turn and in. So I'm trying to turn my thigh bone. Just think of your thigh bone doing this movement like as if your arm was turning in and out. Without letting your hip move at the moment, we'll add that in. And the standing leg, you'll start to feel you want to sink down. So I want you to lift up as tall as you can. Think of lifting above the kneecap on that standing leg and squeezing your glute. Let's do 2 more here. How's that standing leg going, all right? We're going to do this out to the side. You can point your toes if you like, or you can flex your foot. Same thing here. I'm going to turn and turn. Try not to let the hip move too much, although it can lift a tiny bit, but I'm turning that thigh bone in and out. Out and in. Try not to do too much of this, with the hips, this ribbing of the hip. I'm trying to keep my thigh, my standing leg as still as I can and just move that thigh. All right, so let's try the other side. So you can hold the pole or the wall if you need to. From the front, make sure this standing leg, imagine pulling up like a long sock or stockings up over your knee. So you want to lift up above that kneecap. Think of really staying nice and tall on this standing side. So you can hold on if you need to. Bring this leg into the front. So it's directly in front of me and I'm just rotating that thigh. Turning and turning. Not just my foot, but that whole leg. So nice, strong knees. Rotating and back. Yeah, you can balance if you want. It's good to challenge your balance as well. And if you start to feel like you're losing that support in your standing leg, lift a little bit taller out of the top of your head. And then step to the side, so same thing. You can point or flex and same thing, turn and turn and turn and turn. Got nice strong glutes after all this. And turn and turn. Let's do 4 more and 4 and 3. And 2. It's really small movement, right? And 1, especially at the side. All right, let's have a quick little glute stretch. So just put your foot just across your knee and just sitting back. And you can just sit right back. We'll do a cat stretch here. So while you're holding on to the pole, you're going to do a nice big curve. So curling through your spine. So get a nice big stretch through your back using your abs. And then sit deeper, pull down on the pole and push your boobs out, push your butt out, and like you're sitting back on the chair behind you, or you're closing the car door with your butt cheeks, like that. And then go curling, so you get a nice big stretch through your back, and then sink a little deeper and pull down on the pole, so you squeeze up between the shoulder blades and sitting back. Good, and one more time, curling, and chest out and pulling down, and then let's do the other side. We'll keep doing a few little glute stretches as we go, because otherwise you'll hate me tomorrow. So from here, so sitting in that like nice. So put your foot across your knee and see if you can turn both feet out. So even that standing foot, I'm doing my knees going out over my toe, like I was crossing my legs on the floor. Yeah. So this foot here is turned out as well. So rather than being like that, I'm trying to turn both knees out, like if you're crossing your legs on the floor. And curve, and squeeze through those shoulder blades, push your chest forward and up, your butt backwards, and curling, and lift through your chest. So try and feel really nice and tall. And let's do 2 more. Now this position of our foot here is actually something we're going to work on for our standing leg in our, when we do the tilt as well. So 1 more, curl, and squeeze. Good. All right. Nice little shake out. All right. So let's starting to feel a bit warm. I'm getting really hot actually here. Let's do. This is a really nice one. You've probably all done this before to get the shoulders moving. When we put the hands on the knees here, and we bring the shoulder forward. But I want you to think of this to start to be aware of the leg position, not just sinking down, but I'm trying to push my knees wider. So rather than just sitting into my hips here or even pushing backwards, I want to feel like my knees are going out that way, directly out over my toes. That's it. So just sit there for a moment. All right, so you can let your shoulders relax a little bit there. Just let your hips just drop and try and relax into that. And we're going to take one shoulder forward and push the knee, again, not just backwards, but out and backwards. So I'm trying to go for that lengthening and opening through my hip. And just hold it there and breathe a little bit. Big breath in, breathing out. See if you can sink a little lower and push that knee wider. So we're going to open up the hip and then change to the side and over. Good. And then we'll go a little deeper. You can stay on the hand or you can go on your elbow. So you can sink a little lower. Try not to stick your butt out this way. I'm trying to drop my hips down and think of my knee reaching out and sideways, and let that shoulder roll forward. We're going to stay there for a sec, and we're going to push the hand and the knee together a little. So I'm going to push more with my hand and press my knee into my hand. So I add a bit of resistance. So about 10 seconds. So we're going to hold that there and breathe. Press, 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 press. I'm just guessing 10 seconds. I'm not really counting. So hold that there, and then see if you can just stop pressing and get a little deeper and let that shoulder roll forward, and then push up. So you push up through your chest, so you feel a stretch through the hip and the waist. And big breaths. So more length through that whole line. Other side. Excuse me. So coming forward, let that shoulder drop down to start with, and just find that position. Don't let this knee drop in. So I really want to focus on my knee going, reaching out past my little toe. And then add that little bit of resistance. So you press the hand into the knee and you resist it with the legs. So we're going to keep that tension for about 10 seconds. Keep breathing. Think of that knee reaching wider as you release that pressure, and think knee reaching out over the toe, shoulder dropping down a little closer to the floor, and then push up through your chest, push away through that knee. So focus on this whole line from your shoulder through your waist to the knee. Good. And then bring your legs back into the middle. Give a little shake out there. You can do little hip circles again if you like. Just get that moving. All right, so let's go down to the floor. I won't use any mats or anything because otherwise I'll sort of get camouflaged on them. So if you need a mat, grab a mat, because we are going to do some things lying on the floor and some things on our knees. So the first exercise we're going to do is clam, which you've probably done before, and I'm going to add some variations in. So what we want to think about, and we'll do a little test actually. So if you lie on your side, and I'm just hoping I'm in all the cameras, hopefully you can see me. I'm just going to lie on my side, and what I want to try and feel is that my weight is not in my waist, but almost on that very top of my thigh bone. So the top of your, it's probably a little bit bony, so that's why you might need a mat. But if you can feel your weight shifts to that top of the thigh bone, so rather than into my waist, it's right onto the top of my thighs so my hips are level. All right, so just do this little test for me and feel, if you keep your toes facing forward, we're not even really stretched out yet, so just be gentle, that when you lift your leg up with your toes facing forward and keeping that weight on your thigh bone, you'll find that there's only a certain height you can lift your leg to. There's a sort of a lock into that hip, right? So now if you come back to the bottom, make a little V with your feet, so your toes might go on the floor, and then lift your leg. Even without stretching, you should find that you can get a lot more height. Okay, so this is what we're going to work on, so that when we do our leg lift, we don't want our toes to be this way, we want to work on that external rotation. So that's going to help us to get a higher lift and get a nicer line. All right. So what we're going to do is a clam. So let's start with a bent knee version. I'm going to add progressions on, which will gradually get harder, so you can stay with whatever you can manage or whatever you want to work on at any particular time. So keeping the weight on the top of my thighs, I'm going to actually lift my feet off the floor. So a basic clam, keeping my hips stacked. So this hip is as far away from my ribs as I can, over the bottom one. If you can imagine your butt's against a wall, so I'm not tucking. So if I go sideways, I'm in a nice straight line with my back. A little bit like I would for like a cradle or something like that. So I'm keeping that position, and all I'm going to do is turn my thigh bone and open the knee. So without letting anything else move, so my pelvis and my back stay still. And then I'm going to come back down and close that knee all the way down. Your other option, if you do this at a later stage, is to tie a band around your knees. So that's quite a nice bit of resistance. So make sure you feel like your sitting bones are pushing towards your foot so that you're not tucking your butt under. So no pelvic tilt. And then coming back to the bottom. So let's just do 4 more of these. I'm going to add them. So open. As I open, I'm actually going to do a breath out so that I engage my abs. So as I do this, I want to feel like I close my ribs so my diaphragm pushes the breath out, and I get that nice zipping up on my tummy from the pelvic floor. So that way I keep a really strong position in my spine. Okay, I've lost count. Was that 4? 1 more. Okay, so if you want to stay with those, you can. Otherwise, we're going to challenge the balance a bit more by taking the bottom leg out straight and lifting your feet off the floor. Okay, you'll do that. So if you've got your hand down, I'm going to go and say try and use one finger only, so you're not relying on your hands. Or you can take your hand off. You can make it a little bit more pole specific by bringing the arm overhead and imagine you're pulling down on a pole here. So I'm engaging that shoulder. Lots and lots of challenges there. And then I'm going to bend my knee. Ooh, you have to use your core muscles, and then we're going to go open and then close. If that's too much, hand down here or one finger on the floor, or back to the bent leg version. Now I want you to squeeze your glutes on that bottom leg. So you're keeping that inner thigh and the glute working. So this is our standing leg. This is important. Pull and down and here. This top shoulder is pulling out. The pole is there and you're pulling it. It's really hard, right? Right, hold this here. And then we're going to go stretch and bend. Close the knee to the front. Open. Big breath out. Stretch. Big breath in here, big breath out. Tummy's in as your knee comes forward. And open, big breath out to reach. Squeeze the glutes on the bottom leg in and forward. The lower option is this one, open. And here, and close, and down. Good, have a little rest. So, hopefully you can feel with that your bottom leg has to work quite strongly to stabilize you, and your core muscles as well. So this is even important when we're standing. Let's just do, just to release that, a bit of a kick. So if you make your feet into a V shape, so you're not parallel, we're turned out, and we'll just do a nice big kick here, and 2. You can put your hand down for balance, or if you want, arm overhead. So imagine you're pulling something down, or imagine the pole or band against the wall there. So you're always engaging your shoulders. And do a big breath out. And good. Let's do 4 more. 4 and 3, 2, 1. All right. Just a quick little hip flexor stretch here. Bring the bottom leg forward. Take the top leg behind you. Push shoulders sideways so you can see. And we're going to take a quad stretch. So reach the knee away from you. So in this position, I'm trying to keep this leg forward to stop me from using my back, so that I'm keeping my spine nice and long. And you can stay there. If you want to add a little bit more, you can put your foot on the floor and open up your chest to the ceiling. That's just a nice hip opener. Stay there for a few breaths, then we'll do that all on the other side. So rolling around, let's do it all on the other side. And we'll start with the bent leg clamps. So and if you want to stay with those, and especially if you're redoing this at a later stage, you can choose different variations. You can stick with the bent leg version, you can go with straight leg version, you can tie a band around your legs for more resistance. So you can play around with all the different levels depending on how you're feeling on the day. So from here, let's go with, starting again, bring that bottom arm, even though it's here, I just want to make sure my neck is really long, so I'm not looking forward. So my head, if I was against a wall, my head, my ribs and my pelvis would be on the wall, and my weight's going to shift onto the top of that thigh bone, feet off the floor, and we'll do just a few of these first, and come down. So I'm trying to keep this side of my waist really long at the moment, not letting it sort of do a little disco dancing. So open and down, 4 more, and 3, and 2. Don't forget to breathe. Every time I open my knee, I'm going to breathe out and feel like I get nice, strong connection through my core muscles. All right, you can stay there, or you've got the straight leg version, and try and lift that bottom leg, hard on the floor. Try and lift that bottom leg off the floor. So if you need one finger to balance, or here, shoulders down, neck nice and long, bend this leg. And this is honestly pretty tricky to bring the leg forward. So as I do that, I have to think longer spine as I bring my leg forward, and more squeezing of my glutes to open. And forward, and open, and forward. And if your hand is here, just make sure you imagine you're pulling something down from the wall, like a pole or band, whatever you like. And open, and then we'll add on the extra leg. So if you need to go back to the bent bottom leg, you can. And we've got stretch, down, and close, and open, stretch, here, and breathe in, and breathe out to open, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, one more, and open, and squeeze the glute on that bottom leg, watch that top arm as well, and close. That'll do. Let's just do our kicks. So there's 8 and 7 and 6. Try and keep, if I flex my foot, you can see my toes are coming back towards me rather than facing the front. 2 and 1. That'll do. And bring the bottom leg forward, top leg back, and have your quad stretch. So see if you can push or come around, that you can feel a straight line. So we're not letting just our foot touch our butt. We're trying to reach that thigh behind us. So long neck, long thigh, long hip flexor. And then you can open it up if you like onto the floor or stay where you were. Have a bit of a yawn, especially if you went out last night. I went out last night. Alright, and then coming all the way back around again. Okay. Good. All feeling okay, hopefully? You good? Alright, so let's do one more little engagement with the glutes, and we're going to be on our hands and knees. So if you have any issues with your wrists, you can always do this on your elbows. So aiming to be on our hands and knees so that way we're working our arms all the time. Just make sure if you do go on your hands and knees, with my arms here, I want to feel like, imagine you're pulling the floor apart and then you're doing a little squeeze under your armpits. So it's sort of like this little feeling of pressing down here, so rather than collapsing into my shoulders. So I'm going to push the floor away. So just making sure this stays nice and strong. If you do prefer to be on your elbows, I'll show you that option in a sec as well. So hands and knees variation, we're going to do either here, or we can press down either onto your forearms here. You want to watch you don't sag in your back though. So if you're down on your forearms, just look towards the floor, or you can even rest your head right on your knees and lift through your abs. So even my knees, my hands, I don't even know what I'm saying today. So I can either put up on my hands here, making sure I'm looking straight down, keeping my back straight, or you can rest your head on your hands and look towards your belly. All right. So we're going, in this position, my leg is going to lift. I'm going to turn my knee to the side. So my hip might open a bit, but I don't want to do too much twisting. So just that to start with, here, turn my knee back to the floor. And then I'm going to go open. So similar movement to what we just did, but it's now behind us. So we have to keep pushing up out of the floor. Keep that standing knee pushing down into the floor. So we go turn. Let's keep the leg up. Try not to, if you're on your hands and knees, just by looking at the people that are on the Zoom at the moment, make sure you're not rounding your back. So I don't want to be in this position. I want to feel really long. So as much as I don't want to sag, I want to push up and look down towards my hands so that my back is nice and long. So I'm not actually, my glutes are working to, the difference here, I'll just quickly shuttle stand and I'll show you. The difference between me going, using my glutes to tuck my hips under and using my glutes to lift my leg. Can you see the difference? So, show you here. So if I'm in this position with my leg lifted, when I lift my leg, I'm using my glute to take it back and then turn. Rather than using my glutes, I don't want to tuck my pelvis because then I end up like this. There's a slight difference and hopefully you can feel that. So you have to use those abdominals to keep you nice and strong. Okay, so let's go again. We're going to add on a little bit more. So we go. Lift the leg. So make sure you lift up through your hip bones and you squeeze your glutes. Turn that knee to the side. Let's do this a couple more times. And keep pushing up out of your arms, or if you're on your elbows, pushing up out of the elbows. And then we're going to go open and we're going to straighten the leg to the side. There. Face you. So open, straighten the leg out, bend it in, turn to the floor. and I go open my knee, keep pushing up. Now see if you can make that knee stay facing forward so that when I'm in that side position, if I flex my foot, my toes are facing forward, not down at the floor. Even slightly to the ceiling if possible. And then bend. If you flex your foot, you're allowed to flex today. So you can see what your leg is doing. So watch you're not tucking your tail under. So push, open, and squeeze that glute. Reach that leg. Feel like you want to touch the wall on the other side of the room. And bend, and down. Let's do it one more time. Open, and squeeze and stretch. And bend, and down, other side. So, yeah, how you going there, right? Okay, if you need to change to your forearms or on your knuckles, you can always do that. But just still watching that you're not letting this rounding happen through the back. So I don't want to be in a cat stretch feeling. I want to, if you've got a like a foam roller or a stick, if you were to put it on your back, it would touch your head, your ribs, and your butt, the back of your pelvis. If you can imagine that. Yeah. So from here, same thing on the other side. So pushing up out of the floor, just do the lift, open, and back to the middle. So lift the leg first, squeeze that glute, so you can try and squeeze up between the top of your thigh and your butt there, and then we're going to go open, and back. Just that to start with. Pushing up out of the floor, and keeping the neck nice and long. Keep pushing up out of that standing leg as well, so don't forget about the standing leg. Open and back. You might even feel your glutes working, but maybe even those waist muscles are working a bit to keep you stable. Now let's add the stretch. So we go open, stretch, bend, knee to the floor. So the knee goes to the side, open, keep pushing up out of the floor, especially the other arm. It's hard work.
Oh god, I feel like a robot.
Yeah, no, it's hard work, hey.
Sorry.
Lift,
Cracking me up.
how your glutes going though, are they dying? Last one, and open, and push, and bend, and down. Right, good. Have a little rest, especially for your wrists. Hopefully you're using your shoulder stabilizers more anyway, but just give them a little rest there. You can stretch them the other way. Okay. So that movement there, that opening the knee, is what we want to try and do. So when we get into that lift, that we are opening the knee up to get that little bit more hip rotation and a little bit more stretch. So we do a side stretch here. We'll start with the legs. We'll do a little bit of a twist over here first, just loosen up your hips. Just keep an eye on the time. I always think I've got enough, and then like next thing I know the time's run out. I'm like, ah. Alright. So we'll start with the legs out here. Give them a little shake out. We'll do this first, just to make sure you're feeling stretched through your hips. We've done the leg kicks first. I know some of you are a bit warmer than others that are in the Zoom here, or if you warmed up before. If you feel in this position when you're sitting either in a froggy position or a straddle that you can't sit up on your sitting bones, that you're sitting back on your tailbone or your butt, grab a cushion or 2 or 3 or I always want to say the old yellow pages, but we don't have them anymore. They're good, aren't they? Yoga blocks. They're good now. Yoga blocks or anything you need just to lift you up, because it will change the angle of your hips. And you might be okay here, but I know some people find even if they're very flexible here, once we stretch out here, they get a lot of pull through that inside of the leg there, through where the adductors are and across the knees, and that be your hamstring. So if you feel like you need extra lift, then do that. So start here, and we're just going to stretch forward and just have a little stretch forward, reaching for your fingertips and try not to round. Reach your chest forward. You put your hands on your knees or feet if you like, and bring the chest forward and just have a little stretch, opening up through the hips, opening up through your lower back, and just really focus on coming forward before you go down. But if you feel that your legs are gripping, you can put your elbows on your knees. You can bring the feet closer to you or further away. At the moment, I'm just using this to try and allow those hips to release and open up. If you feel like you're not getting enough stretch, you can always raise your feet up. Right, so you can raise your feet up. So those that are really flexible, not me in this position, but you may find that. Okay, so think chest forward, and then coming all the way back up again. And we're just going to put one leg out to the side, and just do a small side stretch first, and then we'll take it a little bit deeper. Again, I want to sit right up on my sitting bones. I'm going to take whichever leg is bent, that arm, and you can put it behind your head, and you can have this hand either reaching in front of your leg or tuck it through, whichever you like. So we go from here, I'm going to lean over, reach this elbow to the ceiling, and just to open up through my hip and my waist, you can take the arm through if you like, so you can hang a little, or you can keep it there. And just reach that elbow to the ceiling, so open up, you can even turn and look at it. Big breath in and try and open up through the side of your ribs, and then take it further over. And let's just do one more breath there, like this, and we'll add the extra arm reach if you can. So if you feel okay with it, take that arm right over next to your ear, to get a little more stretch. And breathe, and reach through those little fingers, reach all the way out, and then coming all the way back to the middle, and we're just going to turn, keep the leg like this, turn, and just have a little stretch forward. You can flex the foot if it feels okay for you. If you have any back issues, just make sure that you keep the foot more relaxed or pointed, and you're stretching forward. So you can pull back through the shoulders, you can even grab your leg if you like, and just stretch that forward. Try and keep the toes facing to the ceiling, not turning inwards to the floor this way. Good, so go chest opening, so you can use your hands to almost feel like you're pulling the floor or your leg back towards you. So chest out and then fold forward if that feels okay for you. Just a small stretch there, and then coming all the way back the other side. So we're going from here, lifting up, take that hand behind your head if you can, so you turn. It's like the old, what was the dance move? The sprinkler. You know, from like the 60s? They're showing my age. Anyway, so from here, opening up and then over. So you can keep that hand there, lift that elbow to the ceiling, try and push that side of your hip down to the floor and open up. So we're trying to get open up through the hips, but also through the waist, because we want to be able to get a side lean. And then take that arm through if you can. Take the 2 more breaths here. It's hard to breathe and talk in these positions. And then go big breath in and then over. And then if you can, take that arm right over. Reach a little bit more. Feel that stretch through your side into that hip. Push your butt down to the floor. And then coming all the way back. And we'll do a stretch forward, a little bit of a hamstring stretch. So take this leg. So we're still opening that hip up as well as we stretch forward. So again, try not to hunch, see if you can do a little squeeze up between the shoulder blades, so you're going chest forward, even if you're only here. Even if you're only halfway down, even if you're not very far. So we're going for that lengthening flat back, folding at the hip flexors, the big bikini line. So you're folding right at the hips rather than from your waist. And then just stay there for one more breath. Folding forward if that feels okay for you. And then coming back up. So one more side stretch here. So I want you to make sure in this position that give your legs a bit of a movement here if you can. So you feel like your toes are facing, if I was to flex my feet, my toes are facing the ceiling. So they're not turning to face towards the floor forwards there. So if your toes are to the ceiling or even slightly backwards is fine. Alright, so what we're going to do is we take, this is my, I think in the camera it might be, I don't know which way you're seeing, but I'm going to take my left arm up and I'm going to lean to the right, and I'm actually going to flex the other foot and let my hip come right off the floor. So I'm actually going to lift this right, there's a big space under here. So I'm actually going to let that take me further over than what I could do if I was here. Right, so I'm going to let that come over. So let yourself fall almost here. Now, once you're in your position there, you're going to reach through that top arm, you're going to reach through that leg and push your butt down to the floor. So I'm going to go big stretch out. Good. Now, in your new maximum, bend the leg and let yourself go further. Let your bum go to the floor. It might be that you move 0.5 millimeter more, but you should get a little more each time. And then stretch, 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 stretch. So you might be going here, stretch, here, stretch, here, stretch. Yeah, so each time you should get a little bit more out of that stretch. You right, Kim?
Yeah. It's quite amazing how that works though, isn't it?
It is. Other side, you should feel a bit wonky now. You feel a bit off-centered? Yeah, so even if you're getting 0.5 centimeter further each time, if I do my first stretch, unless you're very flexible, you're very warm, you might find the first one would only be here. But if I let my hip lift, I can get to a little bit further. So in that position, use your other arm on your leg or tucking through. When you let that hip lift and then go big stretch and lift your chin and reach through the leg and the arm and open up through the ribs, and then do it again, go a little bit further, it might be 0.5 millimeter. Then your new maximum, now stretch it out, push your butt to the floor and reach, and do that 2 more times, over. And if you can grab your foot, go for it. But try not to round forward, see if you can open up your chest to the ceiling. And over. So if you're getting to the foot, see if you can turn that bottom shoulder forward. So even if you're here, turn that bottom shoulder forward and look up under that arm. Good. And then coming all the way back up. Oh, feel alright? It's a good stretch, that one, isn't it? I love that one.
Yeah.
And let's have a little stretch forward. Now, what I want you to make sure here, especially those of you that are more flexible, just really watch as we come forward. We're going to flex the feet and keep the toes to the ceiling and just come forward with a flat back. And I'm really trying to fold at that hip flexor, so my hip bones are coming forward. So not rounding here, and also I'm not letting my toes come forward. I want to keep them straight to the ceiling. Only come in to where I can lift my chest forward. Yeah, so that might not be for about nice. So see if when you're there, you can push your chest out more and reach the legs away from you a little bit more. If you are flat, yeah, see if you can go a little bit more, pushing the hip bones towards the floor rather than your chest. Hip bones to the floor. Yeah, good, good, good. And then reach the legs wider, and then you can point your toes if you like. And then coming all the way back again. Whew. All right, give legs a little shake out. Okay, we've got 15 minutes left. Now let's stand up and do some standing things. All right, so let's put all of that together. Let's put all that together. So, when we move into this position here, I think this pole is probably the best one for you all to see. So what I want to do is make sure that as I lift my leg, I'm going to try and slightly externally rotate it. And what I have to do is use my obliques. So we're going to start stepping on this foot leg, on the inside leg, the one near the pole. You can either step it straight to turning this way, or you can step on your toe and then you turn your heel. So my toes are facing, so I'm a bit sideways. Can you see that? So rather than facing that way and trying to turn my hip, I need to turn so that my body turns like that to face, so my foot and my hip are facing the pole, right? So that's going to balance me, and then I'm going to squeeze that glute. Okay, so as I lift my leg, what I want to do now is do what we did on the floor when we were kneeling. And as I lift my leg here, I'm going to, when we did this one? Okay, so I'm going to lift my leg and I have to squeeze my waist muscles and turn my knee. So rather than going up this way, can you see that where my foot is, my leg is parallel, and I'm doing a bit like a karate kick. Right? What I want to do is I actually want to go here, turn my knee and sink my body down into that bottom, into my waist. Right? So I'm going to keep that side, this top side working. So as I step on my inside leg, I'm not dropping my head down. I'm keeping this lift. Let's do that first actually, without adding the leg. So if I step, turn, squeeze. So you're trying to squeeze up through this side a little. We will go a little bit lower with the hip. Then I actually want you to push back a little bit like that. So I'm actually going to sit back. Yep, you see that? So I'm going to step, squeeze, push back. Right, yeah, can you feel that? So you're actually a little bit off center. So we're using our hand to balance us. Yeah, so slightly. This is a little bit, so what will happen is our bum will go back, a bit like when we're in our straddle on the floor, we're going to be slightly back in that position there. So rather than trying to stay upright on this leg and get so I'm not trying to keep this leg vertical and get my leg up, I'm going to sit back, and that's what's going to get me into that position, right? So I'm going to step, I'm going to pull down on the pole so that this side is engaged to support me, my standing leg, step, lift, use my obliques here, turn my foot, and I'm going to push back a little bit, and then I'm going to turn my knee to the ceiling. Now I'm actually also slightly turning my chest towards that way. So I'm not looking down yet. So I'm not looking down towards the pole. And I'll try and find the best angle to show you. So from here, when I'm in this position here, I'm actually turning my foot and I'm turning my hip and I'm slightly rotating my body as I turn my knee to the ceiling. Okay, can you feel that? So my body position is going to be here, here. So I'm stepping into the pole, so I'm turning to face the pole. Then I'm squeezing my obliques and I'm pushing my butt back and I'm turning to look at you. And then I'm turning my knee. Put both hands on the pole if you need to. And that way you can practice getting that turn. So I sit back into this leg. Good. If you want to hold your leg here. And that way you can get that feeling of stretching and bending. Yeah, can you feel that? If you hold your back of your thigh, that's it, yeah. So you can get that feeling of lifting the leg as you go down. So what I want you to be really aware of, I'll do the other side, my other side's not as good, but I'll show you anyway. When I get into this position here, I'll show you from the back. So as I get into this position here, I want to make sure I don't drop my head. So as much as you think that's going to make you get more lift, what it does is you lose the engagement of your obliques. And this is really important to help you keep that lift of the leg, okay? So as I step on my inside leg, I'm going to turn, sit back, pull down, squeeze my waist on this side, and then rotate my leg open. Yeah, can you feel that? So now if we add a little circle around, so like I said, if you want to grab your leg to feel that lift, see how my knee is turning open rather than here, because that only gets me that certain amount of height, whereas if I can get my knee open before I lift, it's easier. It's harder to rotate from here, because you have to actually rotate that whole thigh. If as you lift into it, you can turn your knee now, it's much easier to extend it up. Yeah. If you go into your straight leg position out now, and then you try and rotate it, it's a little bit harder. Yeah, so this is much easier to rotate my thigh than once it's already extended. Yeah. Good, yeah. So even if you're doing it as, so this position is the same for actually probably a lot of your inverts, really. So whether you're in a straddle position anywhere, if I try and get my leg out without externally rotating it, what happens is my butt sticks out. If you're trying to do a handspring, if you're trying to do inverts, if you're trying to do shoulder mounts, and if I'm trying to lift like with my leg internally rotated, it's not very easy to get my my pelvis to get that little tilt and keep that rotation. So here, as I rotate my hip, as I lean back, I've got that slight pelvic tilt, keeping my back long, and that's what opens up through my hip. Can you feel that? You get a little bit higher, yeah? So, to hold that leg there, we're using those glutes, like all of this work that we did earlier on our knees, all of that is the same movement that we're trying to get here, that opening up. So the lean is coming from my body going into that standing leg, and I'm going to lift nice and tall, and I'm going to not drop. I'm going to pull on the pole and get my obliques to work. In that position, then you've got all your leg circles, all those sorts of things that you do in your exotic routines and your lyrical and that sort of thing, yeah? Yeah, nice. Can you feel that? So have a little play with that and feel the difference with if you go into that from a, if you go into it with the knee parallel and then try and turn it, how much more you have to really adjust that leg. If you go into it from already sitting back a little bit, opening that knee, and then squeezing those waist muscles, and see if you can hold that leg up there. See if you can hold it. And in that position, pull down on the pole a little more and see if you can lift through your waist. So in that position, you're going to try and engage those obliques that little bit more. So push your butt back. If you're not getting the leg very high, what you can do is this. Rather than trying to get my leg up first, get the lean, get that lean. So as I go here, I'm going to lean down and push my bum back. So if I can show you, see if I can show you, I'm trying to find the best angle to show you. So from here, as I've got my leg here, as I turn, I'm going to push my bum back and then I lean. Yeah, that's probably not the best angle. So from here, as I step on my leg, rather than trying to go here first, I'm trying to sit back. So use your arm to support you. This has to be pulling. My bum is back, my head, my ribs are down a little bit more. Push up out of that standing leg more. Push the standing leg. Good. Now hold the back of the thigh and turn your knee to the ceiling. And then you can stretch it up there. Or you can hold your foot if you can reach your foot. And then see if you can let it go. Hold. Yeah. So externally rotating that leg before you come up and getting those obliques to squeeze. Yeah. And then see if you can do a little bit more of a pull on that top side. So as I come from here, as I get into that position, as I come into this position here, I'm going to show my back view. So as I step onto my leg here, I'm going to open up and I'm going to try not to drop. I'm going to really squeeze through my obliques on this side. Yeah? So as I step into it, I'm going to lift my leg. I'm not going to drop down too far, but as I drop, I'm going to use those obliques. This side is what's supporting me. Now whether I add whatever I want to do with my arms, I want to maintain that squeeze through that top side of my waist. If I let that go, everything is going to go. So it's a whole body engagement really, isn't it? So if you let your bum go back, if you think about when you're in your straddle position, like unless you've got a 180-degree flat split, right? Which, I mean, maybe you do. I don't have a flat middle split, right? So in that position, my hips are back of where my legs are. So it's not possible for me to be totally vertical in my side standing split, okay? So the same when I'm up the pole, the more that I'm in this position here, I've got to make sure I'm in that sort of even position with my legs. So as I step into it, I can't be like here. Like if you have a flat middle split, feel free to stand as vertical as you like with the leg to the bottom leg to the top leg. But adding that lean back, can you see how I'm in a slight, like my pancake position that I was in on the floor? So if I try and stay up here, I'm going to fall forward. And it actually doesn't, can you see actually, if I'm in that same position here, and then I bring my standing leg vertical, that's only as high as my top leg lever looks, right? So that's it. But if I keep that same amount of split, and I sit my hips back, it looks like it gives that illusion of much more flexibility and openness as well. I have to use my arm more, I have to use my stabilizing leg and my obliques more, but that lean back, that lean back, so you want your top foot over your bottom foot. That's probably a good way to think about it, your top foot over your bottom foot. So maybe even standing closer to the pole as well, because if I'm right out here, far away from the pole, and I can't get as much lean, if I stand in closer, then I can lean back more and I can use my arms to adjust. So play around with the distance from the pole as well to give you that feeling of that you're trying to get your top foot, think your top foot in line with your bottom foot, as if you were straddling on the floor. Yeah. And push that butt back. So you're doing like a little squat feeling, yeah. And then what you need is that nice camera angle. It looks like you've got a really flat split. All the camera angles, yeah. Yeah. Good, good, good. All right, make sure you try that on both sides. You always have a favorite side, don't you? I like standing on my left leg with my right leg up. Do it in shoes, Shelby. Try it in heels. So from here, leaning back. So I'm going to step, step, and lean. And step, knee open, lean, and then I've got that tilt. So I'm keeping my obliques engaged. Tilt more, Kimmy, tilt more.
Oh, tilt more.
Yeah, do 2 hands on the pole if you need to. So from here, nice, yeah, good. All right, so from here, put 2 hands on the pole, here, lean over, use your elbow on the pole.
Oh, tilt more, not lean more.
Yeah, tilt more, put your bottom elbow on the pole, put your other hand on top. Yep, yeah. Okay, now straighten that bottom leg. Yeah, there you go. So you're almost in that, you can use that arm if you need to. Yeah, is that a bit easier?
Yeah.
Yeah, so try using that bottom arm. Yeah, Sue, then you can use that bottom arm to lean, right? Yeah, so like lots of arm variations depending on what you're doing. You can take this arm here, you can pull, but this arm has to work to support you. Whether it's a little bit of a press with the forearm or a pull down if you're a little bit further away. But use the arm to balance you if you need to, especially if you're in heels. You might find, yeah, keeping that knee turned out, nice. So use your obliques even more on that top side if you're in heels. So you have to balance. And use that foot turning, turn that bottom foot, turn the bottom foot knee open and then up. Good, and then your challenge would be to go there and hold it and squeeze those glutes. And now, neck nice and long, pull down, engage those shoulders even more. Yeah, awesome. All right. Oh, I think we'll stretch out our hips, huh?
Yep.
So, I know the thing is we could spend like the whole hour doing those, but it's good to do those exercises first so you get the feeling of where you want that rotation to come from. We didn't do much oblique work, but we talked about it a little bit. So the main thing to remember is your standing leg, you don't want to be turned inwards. You want to turn that leg. So it's, when I turn my hips, that the foot is in line with my knee. Always foot in line with the knee on your standing leg. That if you can, rather than going internally rotated, that I turn my knee first. So I allow myself to sit back, use that standing leg, use this arm, whether it's forearm or pulling, use your obliques, keep the back nice and long. The other thing is to be really aware of some of you, just towards the end, we're a little bit starting to get here. So really think that head to tail nice and long, and that as you extend the leg, you can externally rotate that using your hands if you need to, and then try and let go and hold that there. That's pretty much it. That's like, in a nutshell, that was like trying to get through a lot there. Hopefully that helped. Let's do a quick little glute stretch. I really like this one. It's pretty simple, but if you just lie on your back. So we're going to do internal and external rotation. Cross one leg over. So I'm going to cross one leg over, knee over the knee. Arms can go out to the side or over your head, and just take the legs over to one side. Arms overhead might be nice to stretch for you. You put your hand on your knee if you want a little bit more stretch. And then just stay with the same leg on top and go the other way. So same leg on top, take it over the other way. And again, you can add your arm reaching overhead if you like. Gets a little bit of that stretch through the internal rotators. You can adjust your knees a bit higher or lower if you need. And then change sides, go the way you just went. So other leg on top, go the way you just went. And then back in the middle and go the other way. and the extra arm stretch if you like. And then just give your knees a little hug, and you can do a circle around. And then back the other way. And then, come up standing. All right, thank you. Thanks for coming, and enjoy the rest of your day.